Hello and welcome back to All Things Trentside, and we are now on episode 6, and this is probably a bit sooner than you expected. So normally with my uploads I keep it to 1 week minimum, normally 2 week maximum, but of course there has been development since I last uploaded. So as you've seen from my Wednesday upload, if you'd have watched it on regards to the team of the decade, I said that I would do a video discussing the potential possibilities of the ideas put forward for the restart in football if there was to be one, or if they'd do it on a points per game basis, etc. And as I said at the start of the video that I would do that if the EFL didn't come out of a statement, because of course the Premier League was coming back on the 20th of June, and I recorded that, was it the Sunday? Can't quite remember what day it was now. It was the Sunday or the Monday, and that evening the EFL come out and said that the Championship, all being well, is going to return. So that idea went out the window, but gives me an opportunity to talk about now the restart that's going to be going ahead hopefully in the next few weeks, and hopefully we'll be seeing Forest back on the pitch, albeit behind closed doors. But you can't have it all your own way at once. It's got to be a gradual process. There's been rumours, of course, that the FA Cup might be allowing 10,000 fans from each team into the final. I can't remember who said it. It's a sports scientist said fans will be allowed back in stages. Again, I don't know how that's going to work. There's just ideas at the moment floating around. But what we do know is that the EFL have come out and said the restart should be the 20th of June with no hiccups. And of course, there's been a few clubs. Mark Warburton's QPR have said he wasn't too happy that it's going to restart. Hull City have been another one. But the majority of other clubs have not said anything. They've agreed and say all being well, the numbers continue to drop. The players continue to not test positive, and Forest will hopefully be travelling to Hillsborough on the 20th of June for their first game back in over 2 months. So it's a weird time at the minute, of course. If you're a big fan of the Bundesliga at the minute, I know people are using it to fill the void of no football. You're seeing, of course, fans not allowed to attend matches. They're not even allowed to turn up to the stadium. If they do turn up to the stadium, the games will be called off. So it's literally teams walk out separately, no handshakes. Game kicks off, play the game finishes. I think they get tested before the game and after the game. So it's a strange time, but it's the time that we're living at the minute, and if it's some form of football coming back, then we're not going to complain, especially because Forest are in such a good position. But more on that in a moment. At the minute, no Forest players have tested positive for the virus that we know of. The EFL have been doing testing every week. A few of the marquee names are Jaden Stockley of Preston, Elliot Bennett tested positive as well of Blackburn, but nothing from Forest at the moment. There was EFL have come out and said they're not going to reveal who tested positive. It's up to the clubs who do that. So I think it was the last round of testing, Preston come out and said Jaden Stockley tested positive for the virus. But considering how many people they tested and it's not good that people are testing positive, but considering how many people were tested and how many people have tested positive, then it is a good indication that where we are at. Of course, no one wants it, and I hope next time they do some testing that no one tests positive for it, and everyone who has tested positive in the football world and in the world make a full and quick recovery. But no one from Forest has. I don't know how training's obviously going in regards to trading. Do they just, because there was a thing about the Premier League that they are bringing out friendlies. Teams can play friendlies, but they're not allowed 90 minutes further passing the 90-minute mark. They don't have to travel more than 90. Is it 90 minutes or 90 miles? I can't remember. And they've got to travel in their own car and in the kit they're going to play in. So I don't know if Forest are doing that, so they're not mixing. But of course, contact training's coming back, so they're going to have to come in contact with someone at some point. This is the thing that's confusing about this whole situation, because it's, you're not allowed to touch players and stuff like that, but then you can go and play football for 90 minutes against one another. You see it in the Bundesliga, they all sit apart on the bench, but if they come on from the bench, they all, obviously they're and straight into the action, tackling, marking each other from corners. And if they're tested before and after the game, surely if there was an anomaly in that, then, you go from there. But at the minute, nothing's come out. In the Bundesliga haven't had many positive cases, if any, if they've not been published. But I think the novelty's wore off with the Bundesliga now for me. I'm waiting for Forest to come back, because, of course, Forest are in a precarious position at the moment. Is it precarious? I don't know if that's the right word. And I sometimes use the words that I've heard before, and hopefully they're right, but I'm sure precarious means in danger. Okay, Forest are in a good position. We'll just keep it to the basics. But if Forest are in a great position at the moment, 5th in the league, relatively, before the break, had some winnable fixtures coming up. Had home advantage in a lot of them. Especially the team that we have been this season, we're hard to break down. Going to stadiums where we'd normally lose wasn't daunting, because the way we set up and the way we defend. There's probably the Millwall game, the game before football was postponed, and the Sheffield Wednesday game at home, where he wasn't really, not been really breached that much in terms of, by winning margins. We normally get beaten by the odd goal, or, we go to a team, Cardiff being the most recent example, went to Cardiff and won there 1-0. So, it was in good position, but of course, the last game before the lockdown and football's cancelled was that 3-0 defeat to Millwall, and we were awful, wasn't we? Didn't create nothing. I think even when Millwall's first goal went in, there wasn't sign that we were going to get back in it, let alone going in 3-0 down at half time. There was no chance that we were going to bring it back. But I mentioned it, I think it was the very first video I was talking about Sheffield Wednesday. They weren't in the greatest form. They'd lost 5-1 at Brentford. They'd not won many games. People calling for Gary Monk out, and I think it was coming to a head that I think if we'd have beat them at Hillsborough, Gary Monk probably would have been no more at Sheffield Wednesday. But of course, that didn't happen. And now he's still in charge. He's taking training back at Wednesday. So what happens now? How do teams react coming back into the fold? Especially for teams like, Forest and teams who are near the top and the bottom. Will momentum carry on? Will the break have done the teams who aren't doing, the mid-table teams who just need a bit of a break? Can they kick on now? Because Sheffield Wednesday, a few months back, were challenged for the playoffs. I think it's probably just out their grasp at the minute, but after a few wins, depending on obviously how people perform above them, you never know in the Championship. Until things are obviously mathematically impossible, anything can happen. I don't know how we'll respond, because it's been such a long time. It's kind of like the season ended at home to Millwall, and the new season's starting now, so that game's forgot about. But it's not, because it's going to still be, that was Forest's last game before lockdown. It wasn't, that was Forest's game, for example, of the 18-19 season, and now this is the first game of the 19-20 season. No, this is Forest's last game of the 19-20 season, was a 3-0 defeat to Millwall, and now the next game, Sheffield Wednesday. And they go there, which is a tough place to go, Hillsborough is, but they're going there without any away fans. And that brings us on to the next point. The thing I'm going to talk about now is away fans, and home fans even. I've noticed it a lot in the Bundesliga, how fans do make an impact. If you watch the Bundesliga, you will know what I mean when you see a few challengers coming in, especially from an away team player, and the referee, it's a yellow card, but the referee just waves it off. I don't know if that's because Bundesliga refs aren't as, more lenient, than English referees and EFL refs, or it's just because they have no fans like whistling and saying like, if I don't book him, the fans are just going to be on my back and booing and chanting everything about, me being I'm not going to say the word. I mean, depending on what age you are, you'll know which word I'm on about. You've probably heard it a lot of times when you're watching Forest, because we always seem to get the bad referees. But they seem to take a step back. So is that the same with the going forward? I think the Bundesliga now, a lot of the away teams are winning. The home teams are struggling, but that's because there's no home advantage. We struggle at Hillsborough. I think we've only won once there. In 2013 was the last time we won there. I think Majewski scored. I might be wrong on that. I think. Oh no, we didn't. We won there in 2014 in Stuart Pearce's game. Lansbury scored, but send us top actually. Good times when we could actually go to games. But no. So it was a tough place to go. But now it's like we're going to all the we still got to go to Pride Park, Deepdale, grounds where traditionally we do struggle, but without that home advantage there, are we just going to play football? Are we going to, turn up and be able to do stuff that, we wouldn't normally be able to do if there was a bunch of fans there, putting pressure on, spurring the home team on? So is that like adding less pressure now to teams, who can, go to any ground now and win? Because in the Championship, obviously in the Premier League, and I keep alluding to it because the only league we've saw come back at the minute in the Bundesliga. It's not as surprising as the Championship. The Championship, top can beat bottom. 1 week the top could blow away second and then go to bottom of the league and lose. Whereas obviously the Bundesliga, you've got your Bayerns, your Dortmund, your Leipzig, teams who Premier League, Man U, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Spurs, teams who traditionally don't really lose to the smaller clubs. Obviously the Championship, that's not the case. So it's teams who Forest has still got coming up. We still got to go to Oakwell, where sometimes that is a potential banana skin for us. We've still got to go to there, who are fighting for their lives. We've got Swansea, who just have an outside chance of the playoffs. And without the home fans backing them, or our away support, I'm not saying this because we all support Forest, but we've got one of the best supports in the league, and I think sometimes it does drive the players on. But without that there, how are players going to feel? Not just us. Is it going to benefit us in the long run, or is it going to deter really? How our season goes. But at least football is coming back, and hopefully, there will be. Cause I didn't want a points per game finish season. I think the season has to be played out rightly for me. I think unless obviously things got worse again in the world, then it would have to go that way. But with things looking okay at the minute, and the numbers continuing to drop, at a slow rate, then why not bring stuff back? Why not give people a bit of hope? Something to look forward to. Because people are just at the minute, if you're not working, if you're working from home, staring at four walls, and it's starting to get a bit, mind numbing really. So now we can look forward to football coming back. So hopefully, things do improve testing wise. Hopefully, nothing will stand in the way, and we will be seeing Forest make a push for the Premier League. But then that brings us on to the next really agenda with this coming back. Obviously there's been a lot of debate on it on Twitter, and it's, do you want Forest to go up this season? It sounds a really stupid question to ask, but to not be there, especially the younger generation of fans who have not seen Forest play in the Premier League, myself included. So the last time Forest played in the Premier League, I was 3 or 4 years old. So yeah, I've not seen Forest play Premiership football before. And yeah, it's all well and good saying we could be back next season, but it's a risk that I might not see it for another, how many years, depending on, never know with Forest. And like someone said, I alluded it to in a previous video, we're the type of team to go up this season, play the next season behind closed doors, go down, and then not return for 20 years. And I don't know, I just want to be part of, something special, but especially, I don't think top two is feasible now for Forest. I think the only way we'll go this season is through the playoffs. Going to New Wembley for the first time, especially if you look at all the lists, I can't quite off the top of my head reveal who all the clubs who haven't been to the New Wembley, but I know it's only, I think it's under 20 EFL teams and Premiership teams who haven't been to New Wembley, and Forest are one of them. So imagine going to the New Wembley for the first time if you haven't been before to watch Forest go to the Premier League. Potentially and something that you'd have to do, especially normally if you can't get a ticket for a game, you can go to the pub and watch it and feel the atmosphere in there. Of course you see Champions League nights, and I was at university, I used to watch the Champions League nights, and a load of Liverpool fans would be in the pub all together. But with what's going on at the moment, how can we do that? I can't sit with my friends and watch Forest potentially go up, because obviously with what's going on in the world. So it would be bittersweet if we went up, because it's so, it's such a hard one, because it's where do you go really? You get to miss it, but you get to experience it. I don't know. I think it's a opinion that will divide me for, at least, I don't even know how many years I could say, because of course, until it happens and we either stay there and I get to watch Forest in the Premiership, then obviously I'll say okay, it was the right thing. I'm not too bothered, but I think I do want to be there. I think a lot of Forest fans would agree, even if it meant going back to the Premier League or not doing promotion next season, because if obviously things continue to go out they are, and hopefully we can stop the spread of this virus and bring the numbers down dramatically, and by the new year we could be back in football stadiums potentially. That's obviously the hope, but if we were, and we was playing how we was this season in the Championship and not gone up this season, we could all witness the history. So I don't know, I think for selfish reasons, of course, I don't want Forest to not go up, but it's such a difficult one. It really is. But that's a story for another day. Of course, we probably, till the playoffs get confirmed, or we confirm playoffs, that's when we sit down and think, because there's not many games that, obviously there's many games that left that we would have been going to, that everyone would have enjoyed, but apart from Derby, there's not many games that, if you missed on a normal day, you'd be gutted, but not like, I really want to go to that game. Apart from the playoffs and Derby, they're the games that people would, in normal scenarios, would have been looking forward to and paying ridiculous money for people who can't go and say, I've got a spare ticket. So we'll see closer to the time, of course. It's all ifs and buts at the minute. Forest could come out and play like, I don't know, I was going to say compare them to Derby's team of 07-08, but just to say comparing Forest to Derby, even if it was their worst team ever and the worst team in history, I still can't do it. So even if it was, I don't know, Forest played like a team of under fives against, obviously, the Championship teams now, but that it could happen. Forest can forget to play, especially if you watch the training videos back of the shooting drill they did the other day. Jordan Smith didn't surprise me with the amount of shots he dropped in, but Samba, he let a few easy ones in. It's kind of feeling like, yeah, of course, we're coming. We've just started training again, so we'll let you off on that one. But pick it up, Bryce, because we've got 2 weeks left and can't bring any replacements in at the minute. But that again brings me on to my next point. Of course, we've had all this, but in a month's time, a few of Forest's key players and the manager's contracts will be up, but there's been no word on extensions or what's happening with that. So, in my first ever video I uploaded, we spoke about Amiobi and Ben Watson, who are both out of contract, and there's been no word from the club or anyone if that's going to get extended. You think it would do, how key they have been this season, but you never know in football, do you? But just have to see if a new contract is announced in there. You'd think in the next few weeks, surely. I'm surprised it hasn't been announced before, but I don't know how all this works with signings. And we were having a discussion the other day, if it's not going to happen, but if Lamucci was to be sacked, how do you go about bringing a new manager and stuff like that? It's such a weird time because you can never really get a straight answer from anything. This could happen, or this could happen. Same with the how the season's ending. When I said I was going to make a new video, because there could have been so many ways that the season could have ended. It could have been points per game. It could have been how it was now. I believe some people were saying just do relegation and playoffs and automatics. So it's the same with managers and contracts, but probably the more worrying one, I mean, obviously you don't want to lose Watson and Amiobi, two of your key players, but we have players to potentially replace them, is the manager whose contract's up. There was rumours probably about a good month ago now that Sabri was in talks for a long-term contract, but there's been nothing. The news has gone dead in the water, apparently, on that one. And now we're looking, thinking, in a few weeks' time, our managers, will not be our manager anymore. I think extensions are granted for that sort of stuff with what's going on at the minute, but it'd still be weird, especially how well he's done for us. If he was a mid-table club, you'd say, right, see how these... It's kind of like the Gary Monk situation, but Sabri's like he is with us, but we're mid-table. So it's like, see how he does in these last 9 games, and then we'll decide what we do. I think Sheffield Wednesday might do that with Gary Monk, because obviously how well they were doing, how they fell off, and then mid-table now. So it's kind of like we don't have to make a decision just yet, because we could finish the season strongly, build momentum for next season, or we could finish with a whimper, and results haven't improved even with a 2-week break and coming back. So I get that, but the fact is, I think I mentioned it, I do mention a lot of things. I do allude back to what I said quite a lot, but going back to my second video, I believe it was, I was saying, how has he not got a contract already? He's beaten Derby, he's got us to 5th, he's got us dreaming that we could have even gone up automatic, we're hard to beat, teams hate playing us, and it's been a while since we've had that feel-good factor around the club, the guys united this fan base, but I can understand why they've been cautious with it, but after probably December time, we got rid of that December slump, because it got to that point and we thought, oh, here we go, typical Forest, it's going to be December slump, drop a few points in January, February, fall down the table, then sack the manager, get Gary Brazil in, hire the manager, finish the season strongly, and go from there. But now this is, like I say, that it says a wonders that this is going to be the first manager to complete a season since Billy Davis. We're talking 8-9 seasons ago with that. So I don't know how it's not been announced, and you feel that it should be probably the next few weeks that Forest are going to come out and say it, especially with all the other stuff going on as well. But you never know with this club. You never know. Nothing surprises me. I think we're already planning for next season. I don't know if Lamucci's in charge of the transfers, but if you've seen that Forest have been linked with right back Mateusz Johansson from Panathinaikos, he's a right back who can join Forest on a free transfer. Probably, I think it's from July the 1st. We've been talking, if you see Charlton players who are refusing to play because they want to move, and I think after 1st of July they can, they're free agents. I'm not sure if they can play. Again, that's another story that they'd have to speak about. But yeah, so it remains to be seen if Johansson would sign. What would he bring in for? Will it be competition for Cash? Will we push Cash further up because we're not going to keep Amiobi, or Cash is now, Cash and Lolly on the wings? Is he just going to provide backup because Carl Jenkinson sometimes always gets injured? There's no word on Deriqui yet. I've not seen him back in training since that injury he had. So it's good to see that we are planning for next season, though, regardless of what's going on. Because of course, whether we're playing in the Premiership or the Championship, we need to build a solid foundation to move forward. But that's the only bit of transfer news that's really been happening at the moment. Not really been much else really to say apart from football's being mad. I spoke about it really all in my my video only a few days ago, so you probably know all my thoughts and feelings of Joe Lolly leaving Twitter and everyone's haircut. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a put together video, this one. Not really many things to talk about apart from the first of June. Not the 1st of June, I mean the 20th of June that the Championship will return. No word on fixtures yet. We're still obviously waiting for that, especially I think they're still waiting on the actual official green light, of course. But all being well, Forest will be back on the pitch on the 20th of June to continue the last remaining 9 games, and hopefully them 9 games turn into 12. Is my maths right? 2 playoff semi-final. Yeah, 12. So I had to double check there. I've recorded this quite late, so I can't do 9 plus 3 normally, but or can I? No, but in all seriousness, 20th of June, Forest should have their 9 games to complete the season. Got a few tough games coming up in there, but probably 4 or 5 wins regarding to get into the playoffs. Hopefully teams around us do slip up as well. Automatic seems a bit of a stretch, but you never know in football. But we are a step closer to watching the Reds back in action. And hopefully the next step after that will be going back to the church, the City ground. But it's good to see Forest are back, and hopefully now, instead of hearing my awful opinions on Forest, we can actually talk about match analysis and match previews. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I say it's a very put together one. There's not many more facts I can tell you, apart from the football's coming back on June the 20th, but because all the other stuff just heard me really rant for another 27 minutes. I don't know how I've got 27 minutes out of that, so if you've made it to this long, then congratulations, because I really don't know how I've done it. But yeah, if you do like us, give us a like, subscribe, follow our social media. My link for the Team of the Decade will be posted in this, and also you can watch I think it's 4 videos now that before the Team of the Decade one, so this will be the 6th one in total. But yeah, football's coming back, and so are Forest, hopefully. So stay safe, Reds fans, and hopefully I will speak to you soon with more news regarding Forest and the return of the Championship.